Walk out to your backyard right now and look for it. That one spot, maybe several, where the grass isn't just brown, it's gone. Bare dirt in the center and around the edge, a ring of grass that's actually greener and taller than everywhere else. You know exactly what caused it. Your dog has a favorite spot, and that favorite spot is dying from the inside out while somehow feeding the grass around it at the same time. That contradiction, dead center, thriving ring, is the part nobody explains to you, and once you understand it, you'll never buy another bag of dog rocks or pH-changing dog food supplement again. Here's what people try first. Dog rocks in the water bowl supposedly changes the pH of the urine so it stops burning the lawn. Tomato juice in the food, apple cider vinegar. Baking soda dumped straight onto the spot after the fact. People spend real money on specialty dog foods marketed specifically to make urine lawn safe. Sometimes $50 to $70 a bag, month after month, and the spots keep showing up. Here's why all of that mostly fails. The pH of dog urine was never really the problem. The actual problem is concentration, a huge dose of nitrogen hitting one exact spot of grass all at once. You cannot dilute that by changing what goes into the dog. You have to deal with what's already on the ground. But before I show you the fix, you need to understand why the center dies while the ring around it thrives. Because if you don't get this, you'll apply the fix wrong and wonder why it didn't work. Grass, like every plant, needs nitrogen to grow. A little nitrogen is fertilizer. A lot of nitrogen dumped in one concentrated spot is a chemical burn. Dog urine is essentially liquid nitrogen fertilizer at industrial strength. The spot directly under the stream gets a lethal dose and the grass there dies. But nitrogen is water-soluble, so as the urine spreads outward through the soil, it dilutes. By the time it reaches the outer edge of the spot, it's no longer lethal. It's just a really strong dose of free fertilizer. That's why you get a dead bullseye with a thriving green ring. Same liquid, different concentration, opposite results. So here's the fix, and it costs about $3. It's gypsum, calcium sulfate. You'll find it in the soil amendment aisle of any garden center or hardware store, sometimes labeled lawn gypsum or soil conditioner. It is not a fertilizer and it will not feed your lawn directly. What it does is entirely mechanical. Gypsum improves how quickly water moves through soil, and it does something specific to nitrogen salts. It helps push them down through the soil profile and out of the root zone faster than they'd move on their own, instead of sitting concentrated right where the roots are trying to breathe. Think of the burn spot as a soil clogged with a dose of salt. The roots can't escape. Gypsum doesn't neutralize that dose chemically. It opens the door so watering can flush it out before it does more damage, and it does that without changing your soil's pH, which is exactly why it's safe to use anywhere, anytime, without a soil test first. That's the part the specialty dog food companies don't want you thinking about. You don't need to change what goes into your dog. You need to help your soil drain the aftermath. Subscribe if you want the full yard system, built video by video. This is one piece, and the pieces stack. Here's how to use it. The moment you notice a fresh spot, ideally within a few hours, flood it with plain water first. A full watering can, slowly, right over the spot. This alone dilutes a big percentage of the nitrogen before it ever gets the chance to concentrate. Then, for spots that are already established and brown, work in gypsum at a rate of about 1 cup per 2 square feet, scratched lightly into the surface with a rake or your fingers so it's not just sitting on top. Water it in immediately with at least a gallon per treated spot. Do this once, then repeat once a week for 3 weeks on any spot that's fully bare. For future prevention, keep a small bag of gypsum by the back door and flood then gypsum every fresh spot the same day it happens, before the nitrogen has time to concentrate into the soil. What you'll see and when. In the first 3 days, nothing changes visually. You're just interrupting the damage cycle. By day 7, the dead center will usually stop expanding, which is the first sign it's working. Between day 10 and day 18, you'll see the first fuzz of new grass pushing up through the bare dirt from the edges inward, assuming the roots weren't completely cooked. Test this the way I always tell you to. Tug a few blades from the center. If they resist, roots are alive. By week 4, most spots that were caught early are fully filled in and blended with the surrounding lawn. No reseeding required. Spots that had gone completely bare for a long time before you started treating them will need a light reseed on top of the gypsum treatment, and that fills in on the same 3 to 4 week timeline as any reseed. A few things that will trip you up if you skip them. First, don't confuse this with fertilizer. Gypsum will not green up a normal lawn, so don't waste it broadcasting it everywhere. It only does its job where there's an excess salt problem to fix. Second, don't skip the flood with water step and go straight to gypsum. The water is doing half the work by physically diluting and moving the nitrogen. Gypsum without water just sits there. Third, if your dog has one obsessive favorite spot, treating it after each use is a habit that takes 10 seconds and prevents the problem from ever reaching the bare dirt stage in the first place. That's genuinely easier than any repair. Fourth, don't use dog rocks or urine pH supplements as your only strategy going forward. At best, they do nothing. And some vets will tell you altering urine pH artificially isn't something you want to be doing to your dog's kidneys long-term for a lawn problem you can solve from the outside instead. Here's what this looked like on a test patch I've been tracking. A regular spot near a fence post, roughly the size of a dinner plate, fully bare, been there about 6 weeks. Flooded it with 2 gallons of water, worked in a cup of gypsum, watered again. Day 7, the bare edges had stopped creeping outward. First time in 6 weeks that spot hadn't gotten bigger. Day 12, visible green fuzz starting from the perimeter. Day 20, roughly 60% filled in on its own. I overseeded the remaining bare center at day 20 with a matching grass seed, kept it damp for 2 weeks, and by day 35, you could not find the spot unless I told you exactly where to look. Total cost, $1.50 in gypsum and a small pinch of grass seed. Compare that to what a lawn repair company would quote for spot patching. Most charge per patch, and $75 to $150 per spot is a normal quote for anything beyond a token repair. I fixed 4 spots in my yard this way for under $10 total. Quick myth check before you go. Dog rocks in the water bowl. Multiple vet-side reviews find no real evidence they change urine concentration enough to matter, and you're asking your dog to drink treated water indefinitely for a lawn problem. Pouring straight baking soda on the spot after the fact. It can very mildly buffer, but in the concentrations people actually use, it does close to nothing for a lawn-sized nitrogen dose, and it's not solving the drainage problem underneath, which is the actual issue. So here's the whole thing in one line. Flood it with water fast, work gypsum into anything already bare, and stop trying to fix this through what goes into your dog. Drop a comment telling me how many spots you're dealing with right now, and whether it's one obsessive spot or spots all over the yard. That tells me what to cover next. If this helped, hit subscribe, because next week I'm tackling the pest almost everyone in a wooded yard has and has never correctly identified. See you in the yard tomorrow. Please subscribe this channel.